Hey everybody, aloha from Hawaii and welcome to the Pound for Pound Leader Podcast. I'm mikekai, your host. Today we are continuing with the second part of our conversation that I had with two staff members in front of our host staff during staff chapel that interviewed me across a variety of things. Oh, and before I leave you, you can find leadership books, webinars, masterclasses, and more resources on my website at mikekai.tv. That's mikekai.tv. So let's jump into today's episode.
So Inspire Church is known to be very creative, innovative, and that's a culture that you've created here. How, as a team, how do we foster a culture of innovation, and how do we encourage creative thinking within a team and keep those juices flowing and to be always kind of being on the edge and not just following what everyone else is doing? And
I think you have to look at what everybody else is doing too. Because if our smartest ideas are in this room, then at some point those smart ideas could get tapped out. And so you have to look at other people's content. You need to learn what other churches are doing. What are they doing? What puts them on the cutting edge? Think about who are the cutting edge types, and kind of sneak in and figure out what are they doing. Because if they're doing something that we're not doing, like for me, sermon ideas, I don't get them all from our room.
Right.
Like I'm asking 4 or 5 different pastors, what kind of sermon series are they in at this point? Doesn't mean that I want to do it. I just want to know. Yeah, so if I'm out there looking for advice, not being the be-all to all of us, right? At some point, my creativity is tapped out. So how do you foster a culture of creativity? Look outside of our walls.
That's good.
Look outside of our walls.
Now that when you have this exposure to all the things that are outside, and you see something you like, or how do you as a leader determine, I'm gonna invest time, money into this avenue to get more from that person? Because there's a bunch out there. What determines your choice of a coach or a person that you want to grow from, that you want to learn from?
First of all, that person, of course, has to have integrity and character. And they do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be spending time with anybody. Okay? So that person, I would want to find out from somebody that can help me sharpen a skill in my area that I need sharpening. An area of my life that I want to get good at. And if I want to become better at that, I want to sow into that. So that I can become like that. Or at least parts of what they do. So I'm looking at future. When I'm picking a mentor, I'm not looking for somebody I'm just looking for somebody who's down the road, who's more successful, someone that can teach me, that's willing to avail themselves to it. But I also want you to know that I'm not getting this for free. Okay?
Yeah.
We're paying for this mentorship. And the benefit of the entire church is the mentoring that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Right? Because it keeps me sharp. It keeps us going. It keeps us at the edge. Okay, because to be honest, in this world, nobody does it for free at the highest levels. They don't do it for free at the highest levels. Okay, there's some areas that they might, but there's some areas. There's only 1 or 2 areas that I don't think they would, but the other areas are more likely to charge you for that proximity. Okay, because everybody's got their secret sauce, and you're not going to get the secret sauce for free.
Pastor Mike, if you don't mind shifting a little bit, was wondering, what do you see will be the biggest challenges in the church here in Hawaii, or maybe it's even the nation, in this next coming season or even the coming years?
Our biggest challenge right now, the woke culture that is going on in the world, that's our biggest challenge. The church's biggest challenge. And to be able to protect the church and to educate the church about what wokeism is, and social constructs and ideologies that are being created for our children, and even trying to make its way into church. Those are the things that we have to be very, very careful for on the spiritual side, but also on the legal side. On the legal side, we've got to be careful. And so I think the biggest challenge for the church is going to be really the last days spiritual warfare battle that is going on. That definitely, Jesus said, Matthew 24, verse 12, 10, and many will turn away from me and betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and will deceive many people. Sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. There's another phrase somewhere that says lawlessness will increase. It's not in here in Matthew 24. But in the last days, this is what we're going through right now. We're going through lawlessness increasing, sin rampant more than ever before. We're seeing the culture go bananas, go berserk right now. The woman of the year, according to President Biden's wife, is a male who decided to be a female, and that person is the woman of the year. If you guys are surprised, you're not paying attention to culture, to pop culture. Because that happened. That just happened last month. That is what we're dealing with. What we're dealing with is more than the transgender issue, which I know everybody's created in the image of God. God loves every person. He created them male and female. This book is pro-life. This is pro-life. This is pro-marriage between a man and a woman. 100%. All of the things that we need to know about life is right here in this word. And so the biggest challenge that we have is not just what's coming against the church, not necessarily only the church. It's coming against all of society. All of society, not just the church. And it's coming against all of society. So if it's coming against all of society, what we have to understand is it's going to come, that's the biggest battle that the church will always have, is how to love in the midst of this kind of environment.
Yeah. Wow, it's good.
Not be judgmental, to love in this kind of environment, where people still are welcome here from every aspect of life is welcome to be at church. And we want God to grab a hold of their hearts and to like never before.
So it's being more and more exposed, but we're also seeing this divide because we see, whether it's on social media or people are speaking out even more against wokeism, Bud Light, the commercial. Then we got Target and all the displays, right? So with this overexposure, are we seeing now the, not declining, but maybe the weakening of? Or are we still in just exposure season of this wokeism?
I think every marketing team right now for every big corporation is trying to scramble and not make mistakes and get boycotted. Like Bud Light, like Target. There's a whole bunch of others that people are boycotting right now because people they boycott with their pocketbooks. Okay, so I'm not going to spend money on that because they don't espouse my values anymore. They've gone over the line. I think every marketing team is being very, very careful now. You're either going to go all in to that. You're either going to go all in to wokeism. You're going to go all in. You're going to buy into it. You're going to go all in. You're going to put all your chips there because of pride, because your company, you might think that your company, your brand is so strong that you don't have to worry about this. So like, for instance, a company like Nike. Nike could be all in on this. We're not worried because everybody's going to buy Nikes. Everybody loves Nikes. Look at the retro Jordans we're bringing back, right? Okay? So if you do that, then their brand is so strong that they probably don't care. Okay? But then there are others that they're going to be super surprised that, oh my gosh, we went this way and now look at the backlash. And then the marketing teams are probably thinking to themselves, okay, how do we still appease that culture to stay some level of relevancy, okay, but not go all in like everybody else? I think that's what's going on right now.
You mentioned a little bit about transgender, just the LBGTQ community. How does the church reach that community without compromising, of course, biblical convictions, but also at the same time protecting the values and the culture of the church?
There are not too many communities that we are intentional about going out to reach. Let's be honest about that. Okay?
Right.
We don't set up shop on a military base. Okay? We don't have a church service in a homeless community. We don't. Okay? Right now, everybody comes to us. Okay? We have enough locations that you can find us.
Right.
So everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. Man, I tell you what, everybody's welcome. Everybody that comes to church is coming in with a sin issue. Everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody needs Jesus. And so there's not an intentional demographic of the population that we're actually going after. If there is one that I'd like to see happen, it's on our college campuses and going after young adult college students. That's where we need to be the most intentional, because that's the one that's probably the most open, to be honest with you. Yeah.
How about another culture question? What's your take, maybe a totally opposite side, but what's your take on the war that's currently continuing to go on, Ukraine, Russia, but also recently Israel and Gaza?
My take, I don't even know enough about it just from headlines on Ukraine and Russia, but I think the biggest thing is, number one, Russia has always been a power player, but they're not as strong, definitely not as strong as they were in the 80s, and they were very, very strong, formidable. I think Russia also, Russia wants Ukraine back because they believe that that region belonged to them once. So if that sets precedence, do they go back after Czechoslovakia? Do they go back after Poland? What are they going to take back? It's the same thing with China. The way China sees it is that Taipei, Taiwan, is theirs. It was one of their nations, and so the way that they look at it, we want to bring one of our nations back into the fold. So I don't think it's right, but it's the way it's done. But the geopolitical way that it's affecting us is, number one, I think it's affecting America because we lost one of our biggest supplies in Ukraine that had to do with Ukraine was, I think, the breadbasket of Europe. They provided the most produce for Europe at that time. And so now that food source is slowly being taken away, but I'm not sure the truth on who's winning, who's not winning. Okay, so my take on that is it's affecting us. Okay, but it's stuff that we don't even know, stuff that we don't even see. That I have no level of expertise to be speaking on. It's just my opinion on what I can see. Israel, Gaza's always wrong. Gaza is always wrong. The Gaza Strip belongs to Israel, to be honest. And so the more land Israel keeps giving up, every time they have to give up land, it's terrible for Israel. But we all know that the world doesn't revolve around the United States of America. The world revolves around Israel. Because I don't read about America in the Bible. I read about Israel a lot. And in the last days, Jesus is coming back for his bride. But setting up shop on Zion for over 1,000-year millennial reign. And so when you have Iran, ancient Persia, that has vowed to cast Israel into the sea, and the funding that is coming through Iran, thanks to some of our political leaders prior to broke treaties, now Iran has nuclear capabilities, and you know, who's to say that Iran, once they get that warheads, once they be able to do that with their uranium, having the ability to nuclear bomb Israel is a real possibility.
That's good. How do you think the uncertainty of the American dollar will affect generosity in the kingdom?
I haven't seen it affect generosity yet. I've seen overprinting of money the last year. I have seen inflation go up in America. I've seen gas prices go up. But as a whole, we're up. So I think that's amazing. So I've been through a world economy before. I've been through the global financial crisis before as a pastor. And I saw God, our greatest financial years, and to be able to acquire property was during the global financial crisis. If it was not for the global financial crisis, we would not be in this building.
Wow.
We wouldn't be in this building because nobody else could afford it. Nobody else could afford it, not even others. That's how bad the economy was back in 2008, 9, and 10. It was so bad that this building sat empty for 5 years. 5 years. 5 years it sat empty. And so we went after it, we saved money, and God provided for it, and you guys all know the story, but it's been a miracle that we are in here. So every time I've seen a financial crisis, I've actually seen opportunity for us.
How about for just like the staff here, leaders in our church, how should they be investing? How should they be addressing their money in these times?
I think if you're not preparing yourself for a retirement fund, you are going to have a rude awakening. I think if you're starting in your 20s, you're ahead of the game. I started in my 20s. I started putting away to my 401k and my first job at American Airlines, and I put away money into that. I think every staff member in their 20s should be putting away at least 10% off the gross. So if you can get to a point where you are tithing 10% minimum, okay, above and beyond. You're going above and beyond after that, okay? And you are putting away 10% pre-tax dollars for your retirement. Even though I said retirement's not in the Bible, But I can tell you, oh yes, but America has a retirement system, okay? And if you're not putting 10% away there, okay, even right now, even no matter what age you are, you're gonna have to downsize the older you get. You're gonna downsize quickly, because when inflation goes up, your $1 million that you had for retirement, that's worth $700,000. So how long can you live off of $700,000? How many years do you have left to your life to live off of that kind of money? Okay, so I think every person should be putting away money for their retirement. I think if you're in your 50s, you need to accelerate how much you're putting in your retirement. You have to accelerate how much more you're dumping in there, okay? Because our staff is getting older. Our staff is getting older. I'm looking at all you guys. Dang, you guys are getting old, man. And I don't want to be. I don't want anybody on this team going, I didn't know enough about money. I'm telling you right now, man. You better find you need a Roth IRA. You need a 401 or 403b. Or find other alternative investments, and I would say your best investment that you can ever make is in real estate. Okay? And the only way you do it, how do you get that? You borrow off of your 403b. That's how you do it. Right now, that's just one of the ways. It's not the way. It's just one of the ways. So you don't want to have a rude awakening that you don't have any money. You got all you got is Social Security. Okay? You want to be able to live long. The system is sadly set up to bankrupt you before you die.
Wow. The education system, in terms of how education is viewed, and sometimes we look at just even my kids, I'm looking at, okay, are my kids going to go to college? Should they go to college? And should they only go to college for certain reasons? Because before it's like, just get a college degree, whatever, and things will work out after that. But it seems like the world is kind of different now, and maybe that's not the best solution. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on.
My thoughts on what? College?
On just after high school, secondary education, that whole level.
Yeah, I would say, I'd say yes, but I can't endorse any colleges. I'm pretty convinced that colleges, universities can be really institutions not of higher learning, but of indoctrination.
Wow.
Let me tell you a story. I took a History 152 class, I believe it was, at the University of Hawaii, World History. I take a World History class, and in that World History class, I'm sitting there, I'm learning about ancient civilizations, and it's cool. It's good. There's like 400 students in there. But then I go to a lab, and while I'm in the lab, which is once a week, I think it was on a Thursday, you have to go to this lame lab, right, with a teaching assistant. Well, the teaching assistant was leading the lab, and now I'm only 17 years old at the time, and I'm sitting in this classroom with other people, but this teaching assistant is talking about Che Guevara. He's talking about Fidel Castro. He's talking about the Communist Manifesto, and we had to read the Communist Manifesto. I didn't read it. I flunked the class. I got a D in the class because I didn't show up for any more labs. So for me, you have to pick a Christian school, like a non-woke Christian college, university. If I'm going to spend $150,000 or more on my kids' education, I'm not paying for no indoctrination.
Right.
I'm paying for higher education. So why would I want to spend $150,000? I don't know if I would do it today. I don't know. But, so thank God my daughter's got a scholarship. And it's going to a very good Christian university. And she'll be going there. So I'm okay with that school. You know what I'm saying? I love that school, in fact. So I don't know. What am I getting back in return?
Right.
This is the scary part. Am I getting a child back 4 years later that wants nothing to do with church and nothing to do with God? And I paid for that?
Oh.
That's not what I want. I think it's so different than it was 10 years ago. It already was there. There was an element of communism, socialism in our universities anyway that was already in there. But I think that now it's worse more than ever. A university college campus, I don't know about the University of Hawaii, but I'm going to guess a lot of them in the mainland, it's just a hotbed for just rampant crazy behavior. I mean, it was like that in the 80s when I was in college for the short year and a half that I was there. You know what I'm saying? I think it's worse now.
Right.
Scary.
Wow.
Scary.
I got another question. Speaking of kids.
So for kids, what I would do is I would foster an entrepreneurialism.
Yeah.
I know one of my friends, his son wants to be a realtor. He just graduated from high school. So I think he has to be 18 to take the test, and he'll probably start off as an assistant and work in the office and eventually become a realtor. I think that's what he wants to do. I think a trade is, I mean, unless you're going to go into medicine or law, I think a trade to me is one of the best things that you could have.
That's good. How is parenting different nowadays? How do parents need to raise their kids now compared to maybe a generation ago?
I would say that our Barney was our best friend raising Courtney. Because Barney, we put her in front of Barney and she'd watch Barney, but Barney only came on for 1 hour a day. Okay? The rest of that was filled with activities, sports, different things. Today, it's too easy to slip an iPad in front of a kid.
Right.
Too easy. The electronic babysitter, the digital babysitter. Actually, I think it's too easy. I think the biggest challenge in raising kids today, and thank God that I don't have little kids to this day. I mean, I'm looking forward to an empty nest. But what I'm thinking is, it's so hard because of the technology. It makes your life easier as a parent, but it also is making them dependent at the age of 2.
Wow.
On a stinking iPad.
Thank you so much for joining us this week for the Pound for Pound Leader episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I mean, take a moment to subscribe and leave me a comment to keep the conversation going. Also, I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel under mikekai. Please go there and subscribe there. It would mean the world to us. And you can also find leadership books, webinars, masterclasses, and more resources on my website at mikekai.tv. So don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you at the next episode. Aloha.